Greetings everyone, my name is Jonathan Bailey and I'm from the site Plagiarism Today, which can be found at plagiarismtoday.com. And today is Friday, so that means it is time to talk about tech and other good stuff like that. And I've been on kind of a browser kick lately anyways, talking about Firefox 12/13, talking about the latest Google Chrome, then talking about Raven/Robin and Sleipnir and etc. So whenever I talk about all these browsers and I mention that I'm a Mac user, the question inevitably comes up, what do you think about Safari? Safari hasn't been on my to-do list because there's not a whole lot new with Safari in recent weeks and months, or, in quite an extended period of time, actually. But I guess it is worth a few minutes of time, especially with Firefox 5.2 coming out in Mountain Lion sometime later this summer. The best way for me to word my thoughts on Safari is through analogy. Have you ever dated someone that is really attractive, really beautiful? You have a great time hanging out with them, and it's just like everything is totally awesome with them, except there's these really nasty problems that just let you know while they're a lot of fun, a long-term relationship really just isn't practical, that it's just not going to work out over the long haul. That's kind of how I feel about Safari. Safari is the browser I want to love, I want to use so bad, because I think it's a very sexy browser. I think it's very attractive. I like the way, I love the look and the style of it. It's light and fast under ideal operating conditions. It's probably the quickest browser on the Mac. It has the benefit of being integrated in with OS X very tightly, which, it is an advantage. And I'm probably going to get the lynch mob after me for this one, but I actually really like the autocorrect feature in it, because even though I admit it's not perfect, after I let it learn and use me, I find that my blog posts and long emails have less editing on the back end, and so I actually save a little time on my writing, and I really like that. So I would love to use Safari as my main browser, but alas, I can't, because Apple designs their products, and this is something that's been very apparent to me as an Apple user. They design their products not to be the best product for everyone, but to be the best product for whoever it is they have in mind for it. And in most cases, it's a pretty broad market. For example, with the iPhone, a good percentage of smartphone users, I think, are going to find iPhone's probably the best smartphone that you can get for your purposes and your use case. It's not perfect for everyone. Android's great. I like them a lot. Windows phones are fine too. It's just for most people, I think they're going to find iPhone to be the best combination of simplicity, reliability, etc. And they do the same thing with OS X. They do the same thing with almost all their products. The problem is, with Safari, I am definitely outside of the use case they had in mind. I'm far, far, far outside of it. The reason is because there's two key problems with it. The first is tab management. Tab management in Safari is a terrible, terrible mess. And anyone who says it's not must not have spent a lot of time with Chrome or Firefox or Opera, or even IE. One key feature I'm missing is the ability to pin tabs. I'm a guy that has probably 6 different sites open at all times, like email, Facebook, Twitter, or TweetDeck, whatever I'm using that day. Google Plus, my site, etc. I probably have 5 or 6 tabs open at all times, and that's before I start work. If I keep those open in Safari, my whole window is more or less shot. My 13-inch MacBook Pro, I lose almost the entire tab bar. I got nothing left. But with Google, Firefox, etc., I can pin those tabs. They shift over to that side. This is reversed. And they're out of the way, and I've got plenty of room left for the tabs I'm actually actively working on. And even though I think the pin tab function in IE is terribly implemented, I hate pinning sites to the taskbar, it's at least a way of doing it. At least it's thinking about that issue. Safari has not implemented it. They're not implementing it in 5.2. and it's not been a priority feature, even though there's several threads on Apple's site where people are, beating down the door on it. They finally got extension support, which, by the way, I think they did a great job with it. And I've got all the extensions I would need. LastPass, Dago, Buffer, a few others that I absolutely need and work with are already there, so it's not a lack of extensions that gets me. But tab management is a cluster, and the bigger problem, though, is that after you open a certain number of tabs, Safari begins to really struggle, at least in my use cases. And this has been on both the new MacBook Pro that I've got, and like I said, it's relatively clean, and the old one, and also on the Mac Mini I had before it. So 3 use cases, same thing happened. Open up more than, say, 6 or 7 tabs, Safari starts pinwheeling, freezing, locking up, and it starts to become a real drag on system resources. It becomes a bit of a memory hog, and it really starts to chug and spit and not work as smoothly. And it's one of those things where when you have 0 through 5 tabs, I think Safari is actually faster than Chrome on Mac. I think it works better. But once you get past a certain point where Chrome works about as well, tabs 0 through 25 or so, Safari is like it hits a wall and it's over. You are not getting anywhere with it. You're going to be shut down a lot, and I don't know why that is. I don't know what's going on. It's just, it bugs me, and it's a problem. So long story short, it's not a browser for power users. If you're the type of guy or girl who surfs casually, has a few tabs open at a time, doesn't really need a lot of horsepower customization, just want something quick and dirty to get you on the internet and get things done, and get a few things done at a time, then Safari's great. I suggest you use it. I think it's a wonderful browser, and I think Apple's doing some great things to it. But if you're a power user with 20 tabs open and need a lot of power and need specialized extensions, it's definitely not for you, and that's kind of where I sit. So for the gripes I have with Firefox and Chrome, and I do have some, I think Safari is not a better browser. Now, real quick, in Safari 5.2 with Mountain Lion, the big changes I've been reading about, one is they are implementing the reader function, which has been in Safari now for some time. They want to give that button a permanent location, which I guess is cool. I'm not sure how useful that is. The tab bar is going to change. They're not really changing tab management, but they're changing the tab bar so that it will always be the full width of the browser. So if you have 2 tabs open, they're just 2 giant stonking tabs at the top of the bar. And finally, and this is the change I think is the best, is they're removing the separate search and URL bars in favor of an omnibar, so similar to what Chrome has now. So that'll be really good. And also they are doing domain highlighting, so that way to help thwart phishing attacks. So that way when you look at the URL, the domain will be in black and the rest will be kind of grayed out. So that'll be cool too. But none of this addresses the tab management issues. I have no ability to pin tabs, and I guess I'm going to have to wait and see if maybe they fix the pinwheeling, the spitting, and I don't want to say crashing. It doesn't really crash that much, but the chuggishness of it upon heavier load. I don't know if they will or not. So I guess I'll come back to that later. But anyways, that's it for Safari. It's the really hot girlfriend and or boyfriend that you just can't have a long-term relationship with. Well, on that note, everyone, my name is Jonathan Bailey, and I am signing off.